Hey everybody, this is Holly from Holly's Pandorium. We're back again, and today with me I have a special guest. This is Sharon Swan, and Sharon works with me on a ghost team that is known as GAPS, Guardian Angel Paranormal Society. And Sharon has a lot of experience with ghost team hunting, and so I'm ecstatic to hear some of her stories. And I know this isn't going to be a one interview thing. We're just going to get a little chunk of Sharon information here. So, Sharon, I would love for you to share with me and all of the listeners and viewers what got you into the paranormal, or what paranormal event really made you stop and think, "Wow, this is different. What is going on here?"
Well, it wasn't a paranormal event that got me interested.
Really?
Yeah, I was homesick. I had some kind of stomach flu,
Hmm.
laying on the couch, flipping through the channels, and I happened to land on some guys walking around in the dark in a building, and I'm like, the hell are they doing?
Right.
I just got to watching, and then I saw the brick just up and fly, and I'm like, whoa! And I kind of came up off the couch a little, like,
Right.
and just from there, I started watching shows, and I'm like, I want to really do this. I want to do this,
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so we had heard about the Shanghai tunnels here in Portland, Oregon,
Hmm.
in downtown, and we decided, my daughter and I were talking about it, and I went ahead and went down to them to check it out, and
Hmm.
it was really cool.
Right.
Nothing happened for me,
Okay. Okay.
but I did meet Catherine Duncan. She's
Hmm.
the team leader for and creator of TEPS, Trails in Paranormal, and she also headed up Cascade, or Project Ghost, for the Cascade Geographical Society, which
Okay.
did tours downtown.
Okay. Okay.
And so I joined the Project Ghost, and I started going downtown, and basically I was just helping with the tours to begin with.
Hmm.
Um, but that's when my eyes really started to open. Uh,
Okay.
I and I and please keep in mind, I am not sensitive or anything. I'm like
Okay.
oblivious, so
Gotcha. That's fair. That's fair.
uh, that's when I started seeing shadow figures, apparitions, getting Class A EVPs, being touched, um, hearing voices in my ear, uh, smelling perfume that's not really there,
Right.
and
Right.
an instance where, like, something actually entered my body,
Oh.
which really freaked me out. I'm gonna say I'm not the bravest when it comes to some of the things that happen, but I think the most profound thing that happened was in my home. I had been working down there for about 3 or 4 years, and um, I just came back from Afghanistan.
Okay.
My my stepdad, had passed away a couple months after I came back, and my mom wasn't
Okay.
too good. And I was sitting on the computer at night. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, and just out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement, and I turned and I looked, and I saw kind of like a grayish shadow figure, but this person was huge. He's like 6'2",
Okay.
looked like he was wearing a baseball hat,
Okay.
and he was just walking through the room, and he walked through a wall, and I look, and I'm just like, that was my dad. I mean, because he was a very tall man. He always wore a hat.
Okay.
Um, I knew, how just sometimes you just know,
You know that you know. Yes.
I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go see, maybe James, my son, was messing with me or something.
Right. Right.
Nobody else was awake. I was the only. And I got to thinking about it. I was like, well, the dog liked to sit and stare at where he would sit in his scooter.
Hmm.
She would sit there and stare at it, and then she'd kind of bark a little, you know.
Hmm.
And we used to tell her, quit. That's creepy. But maybe she was just seeing him before we were. But that was really profound for me.
Yeah,
because
sure it
I
was.
that he was there taking care of, keeping an eye on my mom.
So I want to pause you for just a
Yeah.
second. So you were in Afghanistan because you are a veteran. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Um, and so when you first came home, how long had you been in Afghanistan? I'm curious.
Uh, well, training and everything. It was a total of a year that I was gone. A little bit over a year because I stayed
Okay.
and came back late.
Okay. So your dad's passing, was it a surprise or was this something you were expecting? Had he been sick for a long time?
He had had cancer in his jawbone,
Ouch.
and they removed his jaw and put in a titanium jaw. So
Amazing.
he was being tube fed, and he was trying to learn to talk again. Just all
That's
the
incredible. That's incredible.
He'd
Wow.
already had his leg amputated, from MRSA. So when I got home, they were doing
Wow. Tough guy.
chemo or radiation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we got to the office the very first visit, and I was like, "What is that on his throat?"
Yeah.
He had a big lump on his throat, and comes to find out his cancer had came back, and he was very, very angry, and
Apparently.
gonna go away. And a couple months later, he so
I'm very sorry for your loss. But I mean, it sounds like he was tough, that he really stuck it out and made it through quite a bit.
oh yeah,
So
oh yeah.
when you got there, did anybody else sense anything in the house?
No.
Okay. And then so this was after he had passed and you were just kind of relaxing. It was, I'm trying to
Mhm.
get an idea. Was this at night, during the day? When was this?
Yeah, it was about I think it was around 2 or 3 in the morning.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I was just I couldn't sleep. Go figure. So I was just
Right.
playing around on Facebook and watching like YouTube videos and stuff like that.
Okay. So at that time, had you already had a funeral for your dad or not?
He had already cremated, and his ashes were spread over his favorite lake in Missouri.
Okay. Okay. And so going forward then from that time, had anything else happened in your mom's house, your mom and dad's house? Did anything get moved or anybody see any shadows or anything? So just that one time? Now, were you comfortable enough to say something to your family about what you saw?
I did. I told my mom about it the next day,
Okay. Okay.
and I could tell she was a little creeped out by it, but she was also, I think, happy.
Yeah.
So Catherine, from TEPS, the group I was previously,
Mm.
he came by, and it was just the two of us and my mother, and we uh, decided to do just a little mini investigation to see if he was really there and if he could talk to us. And
Okay.
we were using the spirit box, and basically it came through that it was Jim, which
Okay.
was my stepdad, and
Yeah.
that he was keeping tabs. Those are the words that came up: keeping tabs, and then it
Okay.
said mom.
So, would you please, for the listeners and viewers, explain what a spirit box is and how that works?
A spirit box is it's kind of like a little AM/FM radio, like a
Okay.
little transistor. And basically what you do is you start, how you, when you're looking for a station, it just kind of keeps going,
And it
until,
scans, right?
yeah, scanning, sweeping.
Okay. Okay.
So when you're doing that and you're scanning and sweeping and at a faster pace, certain words will come out.
Right.
Example, if you ask a question, how many people are in the room with me, and it's scanning, all of a sudden it says three.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you're like, oh, okay, yeah, all right, there's three of
Okay.
us, or
Okay.
that sometimes you get the answer to your question.
Okay.
uh, it isn't an easy thing to do. It's because it scans so fast, and obviously there's a lot of like static through
Right.
that,
Of
but
course. Of
uh,
course.
people are really good at that.
That's
But yeah,
awesome.
it just came out to that Jim was keeping tabs, mom. So
Nice.
my mom felt a lot better after that.
I'm sure she did. That's
Yeah.
really neat. That's really neat. So you kind of started your journey. And what I love about this that you're sharing with us, it's a wonderful story because you're the first person that I've interviewed that's talking about it from a completely pedestrian point of view, where you saw this TV show and that's what got you involved, is to
Mhm.
want to know more. And I love that because this is unique for my podcast to hear that from that perspective. So I love that you're sharing it in this direction. Now, how long has it been since you started going to the Shanghai tunnels, and then tell people what happened for you with the Shanghai tunnels, where that went?
Let's see. I got to do a little bit of math in my head. So pardon.
That's okay. That's okay.
Look, years. I believe I started in 2006 or 2007.
So it's
Um,
been a minute.
yeah, and like I said, I started out just kind of helping with the tours, helping move them along,
Mm-hmm.
go in there, on
Right.
and off, And then Catherine started, teaching me how to ghost hunt.
Nice.
Um, I must say nothing was happening for me.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting any EVPs. I wasn't seeing things, and this is like a few weeks into it. And
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I was disappointed, but the history down there was so fascinating.
Right. And
You
you're
know,
talking about, when you say the Shanghai tunnels, let's explain where that's at and what that is really quick.
okay, the Shanghai tunnels, that's what we call them. They're here in Portland, Oregon. They extend from the river all the way up, almost up to some little mountain hills there, and on
Right.
the other side of the river as well. And it's a series of underground tunnels.
Correct.
They used to have opium dens down there. They used to have, like in the Prohibition days, they used to have little bars down there.
Right. Right.
They had prostitutes down there for when the bars went down there. They're
Right.
called cribs.
Right.
Um, they would actually kidnap sailors
Yeah.
or even just men off the street and keep them down there, and they would sell them to ship captains. We called it Shanghai here because the furthest port was Shanghai, China.
Right.
Um, they would also kidnap women. They called these men white slavers, and these women would be sold off at different ports, and they were kept down there as well. So what appears to be like just connecting tunnels to get to and from the waterfront. I mean, it was all built very in the open, because it was hard to move goods from the waterfront stores because of all the stumps in the street, and the rain, constant mud, stumped.
Right.
And so they built this all in the open, and nobody suspected things were going to happen. And there are multiple layers to it. There are levels to it. When
Okay.
they tore down the old Portland Hotel to build the Pioneer Square,
Right.
they actually found 5 levels
I
each
did not know that.
way. Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible. And so, for anyone that doesn't know the Pacific Northwest, Portland is a part of Oregon in the United States that rains quite a bit. And so, when it was first developed, there was no paving, there wasn't gravel. And so, any walk through area or carriage or horse area where you would transfer yourself through town or walk through town would get incredibly mushy and swampy. So it makes complete sense to me that underground tunnels for storage or walking through a sheltered way to move things makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But it's incredible that so much nefarious events were going on underground as well. That's kind of incredible. But Portland, Oregon's not the only city that had this type of thing going on. It's gone on in many parts over the United States. So you get involved with this group and you started doing tours.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
I eventually graduated my way doing the tours. I usually ended up with the last tour of the night. That's usually the one that had the more rowdy, drunken rowdy people on the
of
tour.
course, of
I
course.
better than most.
And what time of night would that
Okay.
usually be?
I think it was like 9:30, 9 or 10 o'clock. That would be the last tour of the night, unless it was like during Halloween and we had our special ghost tours. But I started after a while. I started having experiences. And the first EVP I got there, it was Class A, and it literally scared the hell out of me.
Now, what is Class A? What does that mean?
Class A means you know exactly what it said. There's
Okay.
no guessing. Sometimes to hear an EVP, which is a voice that you don't hear but is captured on, an audio recorder.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Sometimes it's really faint, and it's hard to tell what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Not this. By that time, my daughter was volunteering down under the tunnels, or in the tunnels with me, along with her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Her boyfriend wasn't crazy about it because he was sensitive. And so he was seeing a lot of stuff, and we were like jealous. But we were all standing around in one room. It was just three of us. And
Okay.
we were talking about uh, going to have to open the door for the next tour group coming down. We're just having a conversation, and you could, tell the voices apart, mine and my daughter. And right in the middle of a conversation, we hear, "Somebody likes you." And then my son-in-law said something, or her boyfriend at the time said something immediately after that. So you could tell it wasn't his voice either.
Right.
None
Okay.
of us heard it because none of us acknowledged. We just kept on with our conversation. And it
Okay.
was later on at home when I was listening to the
Oh,
recorder that I got that. And
yeah.
I do believe, being the little badass that I am, I screamed, running for Shayna to come.
I love it. I love it. I love it. That's awesome. So you didn't hear it while you were there, but when
No,
you got
no.
home, you listened to your recordings and it showed up on a recording.
Yes. And
Okay.
that was the first EVP from down there. And I've got to say, I mean, hook, line, and sinker, it got me. From then
Yeah.
on, it was like, okay, I'm in this. And it's
Right.
a
Well, yeah. I mean, that's pretty empirical evidence. I mean, you were standing there and and all the people around you knew nobody said that.
yeah, absolutely.
The corporal body. So, yeah. Okay. So that was pretty intense. And so going forward, you continued doing the tours. And did you get any more evidence that you could save and look back on?
I did lose some of it because my computer crashed.
Oh,
Yeah, and I gave the hard drive to someone who said, "Oh yeah, I can get that taken off for you. We'll save it." And then I got
um,
by that person, but so I never got it back. But I had some amazing pictures. I'm not a big orb person.
right.
Ever will be. I mean, it really has to be a spectacular orb, and like for me to kind of take a look at it. But
Okay.
when when you're walking around in the tunnels, there's a lot of dust, and that dust presents as orbs,
Correct.
in a
Correct.
picture video camera. And in these orbs, I had the orbs shaped into a man and a child holding hands. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And I'm like, that's not a coincidence. That's not.
Yeah,
They had little kids down there that they would pay to take out like their slot buckets.
sure, sure.
Yeah, so um I was so shocked at that picture, and that's one of the ones I lost, along with a lot of other things, some other
Yeah.
recordings. But some of my most memorable from there are the ones that I actually don't have evidence of, like when I saw the shadow figure sitting on the rock. uh it I could tell it was a man. He was sitting on the rock, and he had one leg up on his knee, and he had his elbow on his knee, and he's doing, he's got his head right,
Oh, cool.
and he's listening to the tour guide. And
Right.
I all I could tell was that he was amused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got this feeling that he was so amused.
Right.
And I glanced away, and then I glanced back, and he was gone.
Oh,
And I'm
that's
like,
awesome that you got
what?
to see that. That's so cool. I love that.
Started happening. I
Okay.
standing there and have my hair in a ponytail, or
Okay.
braids,
Okay. Okay.
and, something would start touching my neck, and I'd kind
Ooh,
of jump and move a little and be like, "Okay, knock it off. All right, you're there."
right. 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 Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that'll make you jump.
Oh
That'll
yeah,
make you jump for sure. Yeah. I get that. I get that. So you have expanded your ghost research and ghost hunting worlds. Um, so are you still doing the tours?
No, I don't do them anymore, and they're actually shut down. The ones that were through the Cascade Geographic Society,
Mm-hmm,
you can always go to their webpage and
mm-hmm,
see what they're doing. I think they're going to try to do a virtual tour.
mm-hmm,
I'm not sure how that's going.
mm-hmm.
They have some people from, was it Old Town Pizza?
Yes,
Sorry, I don't know.
that's
They
the name of it.
still
Yeah.
do tours, but it's not exactly in the area that we were doing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I mean, there's just a lot to learn about the underground. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, it's pretty vast, and I
it
know that a lot of it's blocked off. So,
it
but
is,
it's for safety too. It wasn't exactly designed by engineers, so they need to be
exactly,
careful with that.
but it was paved with bricks.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, it got flooded so many times through the years. Those are covered with silt, but
Right.
these were brick lined,
Yeah.
beautiful, because they used the cobblestones, the ones that they dug up from the Roman Empire and used them on ships for
Yeah.
ballast, and then they
Yeah.
dropped the river, and we dug them out and used them for the underground.
It's amazing. That's amazing. I didn't know that either. That's incredible. So tell me, what have you been doing since then? How do you fulfill your interest in ghost hunting now? What do you do?
Well, I took a little hiatus from it, just to kind of get my life back together after I came back from Afghanistan, and just
Sure.
I am going to say that in the field,
Hmm.
in the paranormal field, there can be a lot of drama,
Yes.
you know, and I just didn't want that in my life at the time, so I took a hiatus, and then I started coming back to it because I missed it. I had even sold off all my equipment because I was like, I don't need this. I'm not using it, and so now I have rebuilt my equipment. Had to rebuy everything, but I started out slow, getting back into it, just going to a couple cemeteries, or I've been to some battlefields, like in Tennessee, to some of
Wow.
the battlefields and like that. The Waverly House in San Diego Old Town, did
Hmm.
a couple of prisons, 2 or 3 prisons, and tuberculosis hospital in Idaho. Just kind of dipping my toes back in.
Sure. Sure.
Then
I just want to stop you for just a quick second. So when you went through these different things, were you with groups or did you go independently? How did you facilitate doing these
well,
tours?
what I did, I took my daughter with me to a couple, my brother with me to one. Basically, these you have the ability to go and investigate a lot of places. You pay them money, of course, and you're allowed to go in for a certain amount of time and investigate. Um,
Okay.
Sometimes it's better than others. I will say that I did the Missouri State Penitentiary. That didn't go too well because when I got there, I looked at my brother and I was like, "This is ridiculous." There's like over 200 people there.
Oh my.
I was so ticked off because I flew to Missouri, bought these tickets
No.
because it was on my birthday, and
Oh.
I was like, "There's no way we're gonna get any evidence here. There's no way."
Well, there'd be so much activity and noise. It'd be hard to pick up anything and know if, well, and that's just for to be fair to our listeners and viewers. When you're doing this type of research, you have your normal things you see or hear or sense or feel with your body, whatever, but you're counting on your gear, you're counting on your equipment. And so you're recording in several different ways. You're recording with your, visual stuff, and you're recording sound and different things that are around you. And so any extra activity, any extra footsteps, any extra, people make noise when they walk. There's and just talking to each other. If you have, it would be like going in the middle of a football stadium and standing in the middle of a football field with the stands full of people and trying to hear somebody open a can of pop.
Mhm.
You would be darn lucky if you heard that can of pop because there's so much other noise going on around you. So, yeah, that would have been really disappointing. That's
It
incredible.
In fact, we left not long because, they take you around, they give you the tours, show you the hot spots, give you the story,
Right.
and once they kind of let you go out on your own, my brother, I had taken my little, I have like a little infrared, or not infrared, like a little FLIR, like a, oh my god, I can't think of it. It's heat. It seeks heat. Oh my god,
A heat sensor. Okay.
thermal imaging. There we go.
Thank you. Okay. I couldn't say it either. Thermal imaging. Thank you. We got it. We got it. We got it. Okay.
Holy crap. I had one of those with me, and I was like, well, let's try to use things that don't contain audio. Let's see if we can pick anything up. And my brother, he took the thermal imaging, and he caught something down in solitary.
Mm.
I mean, he got excited. He's like, "Oh, Sharon." He goes, "Look, it's not in this one, but it's in that one." I was like, "Well, it looks like almost like someone's laying there." He's like, "Oh my God, you're right." So that was the only thing that came out from the Missouri State
Well,
Penitentiary.
that's something at
But
least.
my brother was so excited, and he was like, "I've got to get me one of these." So I was like, "Oh, so you're going to investigate?" Like, well,
Nice.
we'll see,
Nice.
because
That's
he's
awesome.
not his thing, and that's okay.
So I'd love to hear about one of the battlefields. What was that like, and what time of day do you do that sort of thing?
It was during the day that we were out there, and my she's my Navy sister Sue. She's my sister from another mister.
Gotcha.
Uh, we were out just cruising around some of the battle areas, and it came to this part, and I don't remember which park we were at. I would have to go back and ask her, but the rocks, it was such a strange area. The rocks kind of puffed up a little. I mean, they stuck out a little,
Okay.
and you could actually lay there and hide, and then pop up and shoot someone. And they were like
Oh,
everywhere like that. It's really hard for me to explain. I wish I could, post a picture to show you.
okay.
But I was like, wow, this would be like a perfect ambush spot, or lay in wait. And
Right.
I being me, I was like, I'm gonna lay down. And I kind of laid there, and I was like, I just kind of get this feeling of like intense like anxiety.
Oh,
Like, oh my God, they're coming or something. It's just I got very anxious laying there.
right.
I went running back to the car because, of course, I didn't take my audio recorder with me because, I wasn't thinking.
Right.
And
Sure.
I running back to the car, and we walked back over, and, tried to do an EVP session. And, I didn't get anything from it, not from that one. But I had got a couple of EVPs over in the cemetery across the road from that
Right.
area.
Okay. Okay. That
You know,
has to be interesting. So when you did that, how much time do you allow to do that sort of an event to get information? I mean, you're out there, you're walking around or sitting and waiting for something to happen. What's a reasonable amount of time to spend doing that type of an investigation?
well, keep in mind that when you're doing things like that, you have to watch out for the public because, if the public comes through, they're laughing, they're talking, or, they got a dog with them, anything, of course you tag like, oh, a car just drove by. But you really have to kind of just stop what you're doing when someone's coming through.
Sure.
So normally I would like to give a place, if I don't feel that it's active, I want to give it at least, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And if I'm not feeling nothing, and nothing's going on from what I can see and feel, then I go on to like a next area.
Gotcha.
Like in a house, okay, this room doesn't feel like it's active at all. There's nothing really going on. Let's try this other room over here.
Right.
And that's just kind of it. And if it's really active, I want to stay there
Yeah.
until it stops, or
Sure. Sure.
out. Because anytime a spirit says, they want you to leave, like you ask them, hey, do you want us to leave? And they say yes, then you leave. You have to respect that.
Right.
that's their area. So
Right.
it doesn't mean I won't send in another member of the group. They told me to leave, not someone else.
Right. Oh, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Ghosts have feelings, and
Yes,
it
you
must be something. Well, and I always think of it as you might remind them of someone that they don't want to remember,
exactly.
or the reverse of that. Maybe you remind them of someone that they miss desperately and that they haven't been able to reach and communicate with. So it's painful.
Yeah,
And so maybe they want to see somebody neutral that doesn't look like someone they know.
exactly.
There's
Or
lots
maybe
of reasons for that.
you're
Yeah.
just tired of people coming in saying, "Is there anyone here? Are you male or female?"
Yeah. How old are you? When did you live? How did you die? Yes.
Yes.
So that's the next part. So, what questions did you or do you typically ask? Do you have a list of questions that you like to ask when you do these?
I'm so glad you asked that because it's really hard to know what to ask. And I'm one of these people that it doesn't come easy for me because basically you're talking to someone who's not there. And to me it makes no sense to do that. I just I feel weird doing it. After all these years I still feel weird.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. There are times I can't think of a damn thing to say, so I just sit there quietly. Like, God, I hope someone says something on it. But
So
one,
you're let me get this straight. Let me get this straight.
okay,
So you're a ghost wallflower?
yes. Yeah. Actually,
I
we used
love
to call
that.
ourselves lurkers. We would lurk.
Sharon. Oh, that's too funny.
Ghost
Oh my
lurk.
god. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Now,
So
what helps is when you're entering an investigation is knowing what's going on. What are they saying is happening? Are they seeing shadows? If so, is it a male or female? Are there children present? The more you know about an investigation or a building or home that you're going into, the better your questions are going to be because you can tailor your questions to that. You know, if I know there's a child, I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, how old are you? I want to bring in a toy or something. I want to sit on the floor as
okay.
opposed to sitting on a, or standing around intimidating. I want to sit down on the floor and get in, get on their level. So the more information you have going into an investigation, to me, is the best way to get a good flow for your questions. If you don't know what's going on and someone just kind of says, okay, yeah, there's activity in that room.
What
Okay.
kind of activity? Right. So you're not scared of this.
Ghost hunting,
Yeah.
I'm not scared of it. I have
Okay.
scared.
Okay.
I
So even though I was going to say, even though you've had your neck touched or that you've heard recordings from ghosts talking near you that you didn't know were there, even though all of that's happened, you still go out. Why?
Well, I've never been hurt, you
Okay.
know, and I just there's a reason that, and sometimes you just maybe just need someone to talk to or listen, or just maybe need a little help to get past what, why they're here.
Right.
Maybe it's unfinished business, maybe it's guilt, maybe they're looking over someone, because
Correct.
I have not seen my stepdad since my mom passed.
Right.
I have
Okay.
not seen him.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I haven't seen my mom either, though. That's the one I would love to see.
Yeah.
But I want to know that I'm going to see my loved ones again. I want a spirit to tell me, yes, we are all over here on the other side. You know what I mean? It's so unknown. I want to know more.
Right.
And do I think I'm going to be the one to get all those answers? No, no. But I'm hoping I can help people along the way. Not just the living, but also, the spirits, maybe help them pass. Teps had one client that her husband had just passed,
Hmm.
and she was having things going on in her home, and her son called us in, and it was just Kathy and myself that went because it was a very small home. We didn't want to have a lot of people.
Sure.
doing it because it would, contaminate the evidence, and what we came out with was we couldn't find anything.
Really?
We didn't find anything. Some of the things that she talked to us about, one was a pipe knocking,
Okay.
the dishwasher turned on, or something like that.
Okay.
Some of the things that she claimed we were able to debunk, which
Oh, okay. Right.
debunking is like the best thing you could ever do in investigation. I'll talk about that in a second. Uh,
Okay.
so what it boiled down to is we gathered no evidence. We debunked a lot of the stuff, and
Okay.
what we told her was we really didn't get anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, However, we didn't feel anything negative there.
Okay.
And if there was someone there that they might not want to interact with us, and that it could be her husband,
Okay.
you
So,
know,
so
you,
she contacted you because she was afraid something was there, or
yeah,
she knew something was there.
she was afraid something was there.
Okay. And that's because she heard things or saw things.
Things, and said she saw things.
So both.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, we ended up telling her if anyone is here, it's more than likely your husband, and he's here just to be with you
Okay.
and to keep an eye on you.
Okay.
And her son called Catherine the next day and said it's like a complete turnaround with his mom. And he thanked us so much for coming out. He
Yeah.
goes, I didn't think there was anyone there either. He said, but I didn't know how to convince her.
Okay.
So you're not going to get evidence at everywhere you go. You're not going to get spirits don't just say, oh, hey, it's time to interact. They got a camera out.
Right. Exactly.
So, but
Put 'em up.
we gave her peace of mind that if there is something there, it's not going to hurt her.
Right.
That
Yeah.
it's more likely, her loved one.
Right.
And said she was just so happy now, and just, back to doing her baking in the house. And I was really happy to hear that. So, sometimes you're just sometimes there to give people peace of mind.
Yeah. So let's talk about debunking for a minute.
Yes, debunking. Um, I'm the type of person that I don't, and I know this is weird because I've had all these experiences, and I have, I've been an investigator all these years, but I don't believe everything. I really don't. And like, I'll be honest, I'll watch some shows on TV, and sometimes I'll be like, bullshit.
Yeah.
Especially some shows. I'm like done
Some
with.
of it's too fantastic. I have to agree. There's
Yeah.
and I'm not completely scientific because I don't have that ability. But even I have a bullshit detector. As a psychic medium, I have an enormous gift and burden of hearing and seeing things that other people do not. But even for me, there's times where I go, mm-mm, that's not happening right now, or wait a minute,
Yeah.
And I think that's something that I really want people to understand. Just because you're on a ghost team, you are not like a TV ghost team. No, no, no. It is
Exactly.
not like it is on
No,
TV.
because out of hours and hours and hours and hours of footage, you might get like 40 minutes of that.
Right. So it's kind of like when people watch fishing shows, and I'm so glad that they've upped the ante a little bit and they actually will show longer periods of time. You're out there waiting for a long time, just like you do when you're fishing or hunting.
Yep.
It's still hunting. It's still like fishing. You have to wait. You have
Yep.
to be patient, and you have to be understanding. And the number one suggestion, if you think you've got something in a house or your work or your car, what is it, Sharon? What do people need to do if they think they got something going on in their house?
Document.
Okay, and in what way? How do
Document.
they do that?
They need to write it down. They need to start writing down what it is, when it happened, what they were doing, what they were feeling. If they have a camera, they video camera, or like a home security system, go through that. But make sure, like, for example, when Shayna and I were staying at a hotel in Seaside, all of a sudden this cabinet would just kind of close, and we were like, what the hell?
Hmm.
you know, and then it did it again a little while later. And I'm like, there's no window open, there's no breeze. What is going on with this?
Right.
We shut all the way.
Right.
Well, it comes to find out because at Shayna was starting to lean towards, oh, it might be, paranormal. I'm like, no, it can't be. We just happened to get the one random room that might be haunted, that
Right. Right.
a BS detector was going off left and right.
Right.
And so we just kind of started noticing, when was it happening? Was it right after, we cooked something, because there was a little kitchenette? Um, did we make sure it was closed all the way? I mean, so we started trying to figure out what was going on when this was happening.
Right.
And what we figured out was the window, though we thought it was all the way closed, it was still open a bit, and it was starting to get windy. And so it would kind of, the wind would blow and kind of suck the air out a little, and it would
Uh,
pull that cupboard out a little bit, just enough for it to go back, and go boom.
okay. That was easily explained then.
Out, but I mean, that's where you have to tell, okay, when you're starting to document, you're like, all right, this is a pattern. Maybe this isn't paranormal, this is a pattern. And
Right.
that's where you debunk things, you always be like, okay, they see someone on the stairs, but is it their shadow being cast from a light over here? And then they're like, oh crap, there's someone over.
Right. Sure.
I
There's
mean,
things that we see in our peripheral vision. Your side vision can make you jump.
absolutely. It happens at the hospital that I work at all the time. In fact,
Yeah.
just last week, I came walking out of the break room, and I looked towards the IV room and
Hmm.
saw a coworker in there making an IV. And
Hmm.
I kept walking towards the desk area, and she's standing there. And I'm like, what do you? And I turned and I kind of backpedaled and looked in the IV room. There was nobody. And I walked up to her and I was like, I swear to God, you were just in there. You were just in there making IVs. And she's like, no, but somebody was.
Somebody was. Yeah.
See, supervisor from there, he
Hmm.
passed away at the hospital.
Okay.
It was a Navy brother, a veteran, and he passed away at that hospital.
Wow.
He's, even when he get admitted, he come down in the wheelchair, just come down and hang out with us.
Oh,
Nurse
cool.
all down, tell Michael to come back up here. So we've had a few things happen at the hospital that we can't explain. Um, and basically, anytime that happens, we're like, Michael, knock it off. We're trying to work here.
Right.
So there's
Right.
time and a place. Now's not it.
Right.
But
Uh,
yeah, I've had things at the hospital out of the corner of your eye. See someone standing there, and you're like, wait, was that someone standing there? And you look back and, kind of go back and look in the room, like, no, nobody's
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
All right.
I have lots of friends that have. I do a little bit of medical work myself, but I have friends that work in hospitals and have for years, and everyone's got stories for
Oh,
things.
yeah.
And so, what I find interesting is that when people are shocked that there's a ghost in their house, or maybe a ghost in their house, and I can't help but thinking, I don't want to say this, but I think most houses are not brand new. Most of the time, we live in a house that's technically used.
Mhm.
Someone else has lived there.
Yep.
And so it kind of makes sense that most houses have some kind of energy in them.
Absolutely.
People have had good days, bad days, they've had babies, they've had deaths, they've had all these different events, life events in this space that you may now occupy. Don't be so shocked that there might be other things there hanging out. And it doesn't mean they're there to attack you, because genuinely, in your 20 years of experience, my many years of experience, the incidences of something being really bad or evil is itty bitty.
Very tiny.
It's extremely tiny. So the paranormal is more normal than it is para.
I agree.
Which I love to be able to say that, because I think that's part of what will help people to stop being afraid, is
Hmm.
to take the fear factor out and put reality in its place,
Yes.
and just kind of say, well, it's kind of awesome and amazing that there's so much life.
Absolutely.
And so,
Person might, someone, like I said earlier, looking out for you. It could be a relative or a friend.
right,
They're just there to check up on you.
Right. And I think it's fascinating that most people agree that there's a soul involved. Everyone has the basics. They have their brain, their body, their lungs, and all the parts that go with it. But there's personality that goes with that. And
Hmm.
that's a soul. That's a something, whatever you want to call it, a spirit or a soul or something. Why is it so shocking that that would remain? Because it doesn't have to stay hooked to something that's flesh, does it?
No.
Not necessarily. Um, so I love the whole thing. I'm very glad that I get to see the rest of the story, and
Hmm.
I wish very much that somehow I could someday plug people into my brain and show people what I see, because it's almost like,
I want to be the first one.
honestly, I would love to set up virtual reality ghost goggles and be able to let people see and hear what I do, because it's like being somewhere else. It's like you're
Hmm.
visiting somewhere else. And the other night, so I normally do seances on Sundays, and I've just been exhausted lately. And
Hmm.
so Sunday I had thought to do a seance, but I was just worn out. And so I was trying to stay awake, and
Hmm.
I'm sitting on my couch with my blanket, which is a mistake because that's going to put me to sleep. But I was just tired, right? So I'm just kind of sitting there with this blanket, and I started to close my eyes, and immediately behind me, I heard a ghost say, "There she goes again." I laughed so hard, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm just sleepy." And it's like, "Yeah, we know, we get it. It's okay." And it was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," But it's like,
That's,
I love that. They're so stinking cute because
oh my goodness.
they're as real as we. To me, they're as real as we are, and
Yeah.
they have even more compassion because they were human. They're still
Hmm.
human. They just don't have a corporal. I got to say that word right. It's not corporal. I said corporal earlier, and I had to laugh at myself. They don't have a corporal form to work things out with.
Yeah.
So, but they do understand it. They do understand that we get tired, we get sick, we trip and fall, we break body parts, we have pain, and all of that's normal stuff. They still relate to and understand, but they get impatient sometimes because we can't do what they can do. We can't stay up all hours of the day and night, and they don't watch time anymore. They don't have a clock on their wrist or a phone to look at, and they
They
it's
got
3 in
nothing
the
but.
morning. Yeah, it's 3 in the morning, and they want to talk, and you're like, no, not now.
I'm glad that I don't have that. I mean, in some ways, I've always kind of been jealous, you
Yeah,
know. But when it boils down to it, I enjoy being blissfully oblivious. I do. Unless something just comes up and gets in my ear or my face,
right, right.
I don't know. I don't usually sense them. I mean, every now and then I can pick up an energy from a room and be like, oh, that's kind of creepy. I don't like it, or
Right.
far as all that other stuff. I think I'm kind of glad.
So, can you share with people, Sharon, why do you believe in ghosts now?
Well, I've just seen too much. I mean, they're out there, and now now I have even more questions than I did. I mean, I never even thought about ghosts before
Right.
I watched that show. I mean, yeah, and I'm a big horror movie person. I've always enjoyed that. But honestly, the thought of ghosts existing, truly existing,
Mm-hmm.
never entered my mind until I watched that show. And then I watched another show, and then another show, and I'm like, I was blown away. And that's when I started getting into it. And just as you were saying that the they have their personalities, they have the same personality in death that they did when alive, like you just like they said, oh, here she goes again. That's hilarious. I would have been cracking up if I had heard that.
Yeah.
Uh, but then you got the old grouchy ones,
Mm-hmm.
this is my house, get out, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
um but why are they staying if you have it to go and up? Why would you stay? Who are you here for?
Right.
Or are you just so much in love with life on earth that you didn't want to leave it?
Right.
What? how many people are you able to connect to and talk to?
Right.
Because sometimes it sounds like it'd be very solitary, being there on your own. But now I'm starting to realize, places with multiple spirits, that it's like they continue living in
They
some.
have a community. They
Yeah,
have contact.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I
like still living their life.
yes. Yeah.
And so I'm curious as to why do you want to stay down here and live your life when it could be somewhere else, or maybe with your family or something. Yeah, I just there are so many questions that
Uh,
I.
yeah. So I can kind of speak to that a little bit. I know from the ghosts that I've talked to, for some of them, life overwhelmed them and they just haven't sorted it all out yet. They're still kind of figuring things out. And especially for people that died very abruptly, it's really hard because they feel cheated. How come they died in that car wreck? How come they fell here or there and then suddenly they were gone? Um, People that died slowly that knew they were going to die, they tend to pass on most regularly and just visit.
Yeah,
But people that die suddenly, it's very tragic and sad because some of them just take a sometimes years and even generations to come to terms with it. Number one, they're dead. Number two, their family's gone. Where am I? What am I doing? And time passes so differently for them. It is not like time passing for us. They don't have to sleep. They do rest, but they don't have to sleep like we do. And so, as easily as we get distracted watching a movie, that's kind of what they're doing.
okay.
They're watching things going on around, and it's going by so fast. The cars are going by fast, and then they can think about something and go somewhere.
Hmm.
And so, then what? Well, now where am I? What happened? Navigating the body of a ghost is a completely different situation than navigating a human body.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm end up in some really crazy places.
Right. That's why part of the reason why I love the movie Ghost, because for the first time on a theater exhibit, you can kind of see it's kind of like looking in a fishbowl at ghosts and seeing someone's rendition or someone's example of a ghost learning how to control their environment a little bit,
Hmm.
because it's really hard. I had a guy that that came to me that was super frustrated. He died in a car wreck. I'm guessing 20s or 30s just because of the cars that he showed me on a
Okay.
bridge not far from where I live. And he said, all I know is I was in the car and then I woke up and I was out of the car and I saw my dead body on the ground and I don't know what happened.
Uh,
And so he said the car eventually got towed away. My body got taken away in an ambulance and I don't know what happened. He
yeah,
was so shocked. He just stood there in awe. And everyone was busy and no one could hear him.
yeah,
He's yelling and having a fit, going, what's going on? Why am I out of my body? Why can't you see me? Why can't you hear me? It was very upsetting.
yeah. It's very trauma.
Yeah, heck yeah. And so, he sat on the curb and he showed me, he goes, I just sat at the edge of the bridge and just watched and kind of went, I don't understand. And so there are times when he just sits on the edge of the bridge and tries to remember where was he going, what was he doing. And it's hard sometimes because so much time has passed. Then he's like, oh, I got to go check on my family. Oh, I want to go check on the job I used to have. And then they're just moving and doing things. Time passes. It just passes. And it's strange. It's very different. It's a whole different circumstance. And there's not like a ghost guy. That's why I can't wait for the new Beetlejuice movie, because
I,
they actually have which I find hysterical. And I don't know if this exists or not. I don't know. But there's a handbook for the dead that they have in the Beetlejuice movie. And it's like, oh, what if there was such a thing? And I could say, come over to my house. I'll hand out a book for you. Here's a book so you can figure things. I would love to do that. I got a copier. I'll make copies for you guys. I mean, I would love to do that. Um, just to make a, one book answers all type thing. That would be a great book.
Yep.
um I don't know of such a thing, and I feel like that's kind of where we are. We
Yep.
don't know they're there half the time. They don't know what they're doing half the time, or they do. Like the guys that hang around my house with Doug and I, um, they're quite comfortable. They're comfortable. They like the neighborhood. They like watching what the neighbors do. There's animals they follow and watch, and there's lots of wildlife around here. There's squirrels, there's gophers, there's bunny rabbits, there's deer. There's occasional bear here and there. So that there's fish in the lake nearby. I mean, there's constantly activity around us. So
Hmm.
there's never a dull moment. And
Yeah.
when they want to, they sit and watch TV. And what's delightful is when we're going and I'm flipping through the channels and we have a smart TV, which is overwhelming. They have had to get used to it. So they have their favorite channels.
Uh,
So I'll wait and listen, and they try, and I'll tell them one person at a time, and they'll say they want to watch this channel or that channel. And so we'll go to the channel, and then I have to wait because I'm going through, and there's it's as bad as a human looking. What show do you watch? What show do you watch? And I, once in a while, just to be a smartass, I'll go by and find a Hallmark or a romantic comedy, and I can hear in stereo, no,
those are my kind of people.
right? They're like, no, don't do it, don't do it. Yeah. Well, and I love the story about the one day I wasn't thinking about the ghost. I was very busy, chaotic, lots of things to do, lots on my mind. And all I thought is, oh my gosh, I got to leave the dog here. I better leave some noise on for her. And I thought, I want to leave something pleasant. I don't want to leave the news on. So I found cartoons. And when I got home, I could not find my remote. And I sat down and I'm looking, and I thought, I know exactly where I left it. And she doesn't touch the remote. I looked under the couch. And I thought, it's not in her dog bed, just in case she decided to play with it. And all of a sudden, I hear one of the ghosts going, I'll give you back your remote if you promise never to leave cartoons on ever again. I almost peed my pants. I laughed so hard. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I just, that wouldn't have bothered me. I don't care. It's background noise. But they were bored and wanted to watch TV. And that was so annoying. That was so rude. But clearly, they were probably trying to yell at me and say, we want to watch la la la. And I didn't hear them. I wasn't listening.
That's hilarious.
Bad Holly. Okay. But yeah, it does happen. It does happen to the best of us. We're not all good listeners all the time, darn it. But yeah, it's pretty funny. But and I gotta give them credit. They work hard to communicate. And I don't always hear what they're saying, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
yeah, but that was pretty dang funny that
Yeah,
they,
it was. You can have it back.
all right, I'll get the TV remote and I will be careful not to put on cartoons. But yeah, they're so funny. They're so funny. I just love them. They're awesome. And they say stuff that I totally get. And it's like, oh, all right, I won't do that again.
Nice. They speak up when they don't like it.
Right. Well, and to be fair, listening involves me being quiet.
Yeah.
And when you get busy with life, it's hard to do that. So for anyone watching or listening, take 3 minutes, just 3 minutes, sit down, turn off the noise, and just be quiet and just listen. Try to still your thoughts. I know our thoughts are like drunken monkeys. Try to focus on something simple and be quiet, and you'd be surprised. You'll hear your own thoughts better. You'll hear your own feelings better. You'll assess life a little differently. And once in a while, you might actually hear someone else occupying the same space that's trying to share something. And it's kind of awesome.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, Sharon, if
Yes.
someone wanted to get interested or get involved in ghost hunting, what would you tell them today? How would you suggest someone get started in this adventure?
I would tell you check out like their local paranormal groups
Okay.
and contact them, and just get in there and start learning, start doing, you know.
Yeah.
You'll find out right away if it's you, if it's for you or not, you
That's
know.
just what I was going to say too. Sometimes sports, there's some sports I'd rather play than observe, and there's other sports I'd rather observe than play.
Yeah.
And ghost hunting might be something that you would rather observe than participate in. Um, Tell me what you're most proud of with your ghost hunting.
Basically just being able to calm people down. That, I mean, doing the Shanghai tunnels, that was great, you know, but going into people's homes and being able to say, you know, we caught something, this is what it is, you know, or, you know, we didn't catch anything but it's okay, that we don't feel anything, you know, just being able to help. That's what I enjoy the most out of it. Now, am I, you know, always looking for that evidence? Yeah, I want that. I want that evidence, that, you know, that final irrefutable proof. Or
Sure.
that every paranormal investigator is after that. That
Hmm.
they are all after that. But um, knowing that I will probably never get that, it's, I like helping
Yeah,
people.
that's awesome. So, what are you most curious about in the paranormal these days? What are you most interested in these days with the paranormal?
Hmm. You know, I had some theories, and some of the theories kind of go as like, why is there more paranormal activity at this time of the year as opposed to others? I mean, at one point I thought that the reason that I was seeing more and hearing more, you know, and noticing more is because I was vitamin D deficient. I mean, so I am actually at that phase where I kind of want to start, you know, little experiments and
Okay.
things. You know what I mean? And they're probably off the wall, and that's okay. But I just, there's just so much out there, and nobody's really an expert. Nobody. There's
That's
not
very
one
true. That
expert
I agree with that 100%.
that are
Yeah.
leading charge on it, but
Yeah.
there's expert. There's not one set rule for spirits or for hunting or ghost hunting, or, you know, there's not a, it's how you do it. You know, it's how you portray or feel that it's coming through. But uh, there's just so much to be learned, and I want to do my little wacky experiments and keep on helping people. So, you know, the next time I get overtaken by a shadow, I'm just going to keep going, even though I might run a little fast. Well,
Yeah.
quickly with haste.
Yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha.
I used
Def-
to joke at the beginning of the tours that I don't scream, I woman holler, and I run.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yep,
I love that. That's awesome. Woman holler. Oh God, that's too cute.
yep. I don't
That's
scream,
too
I woman.
cute.
But yeah, it's just, it's definitely, it's open. You know, it's open to interpretation, and I don't know. I'm in love. Addiction, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I do find that with most people that it's not a regular hobby. It's not like crochet or painting or anything else. I mean, everybody has things they're interested in, whether it's your favorite sport or going somewhere in particular. You know, some people like to, summer in Arizona every year. There's all these interests that people have. And yet, this to me is more of like a calling and an obsession mixed, because
I,
once you figure out that you can actually sometimes help the living and or the dead
mm,
to feel better, that is so rewarding and that is so amazing. Because normally it's you watch the shows and, well, that's exciting, what if, and then you come across a situation like you explained where you gave someone peace of mind. Well, you weren't expecting that.
no, not at all.
that's
You
that's
kind of never know what's going to happen
No,
when.
you don't. And so that's, wow. Wow. You gave someone peace of mind in a really tough time in their life. You can't beat that. You
Yeah.
know, that's better than a bowl of ice cream, for gosh sakes. That's awesome.
It was. I mean, I had like a permanent grin on my week for
Oh,
or
heck yeah. Well,
week.
just thinking about it, it makes you feel better all over again. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for anyone interested, there's a lot to think about. Do your research. Be ready to debunk first. If you
Hmm.
think you have something going on, um, definitely write it down.
Yep.
Write it
Document.
down. Yep. And I'm going to put this up here. Where is it? Really quick. If you have a story, if you have something that you can share, um, I've got my contact stuff on the bottom of the screen. Please do that. Please go ahead and do that and contact me. And if you just have a question, you can do that too. Um, and for anyone on YouTube watching this, like my friend Jay likes to remind me, thank God Jay does this because I forget. Please like and share. Um, I know this is fun content, and if you're interested in this, that's amazing. But truly, it doesn't cost you anything. Please like the video for me. And if you think someone you know might enjoy watching this, please share it because it helps me get in a rhythm where other people can find me easier if they really want to learn stuff or find things that I'm doing. Um, Sharon, I can't thank you enough, and I'm going to have you come back and talk about more stories
Sure.
because people need to hear what it's like to do these things on the more personal level, because I think if people just watch the TV programs, they're fun and I dig them. I think they're fun to watch, but there's a lot more to the story, and I think the real story is actually better than TV, but that's just me.
Great. I agree.
Well, this is Holly from Holly's Pandorium. And Sharon, thank you again, Sharon, for coming on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for following. And please hit the like button. And I'll talk to you again soon, guys. We'll have more stories.
Bye.